Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Hadith class. Today, inshallah, we will move to the chapter of the Adhan. Again, we cannot take every chapter with every hadith in it, but we're trying to choose hadith that are related to our daily life, that are related to the subject that we can benefit from. So we will start with the book of Adhan today, inshallah. And before we start, what's the definition of Adhan? In the first semester, when we spoke about the rulings in fiqh, we mentioned and we asked about the definition of Adhan. What's the definition of Adhan? No one knows? Call to prayer. Linguistically, what's the meaning of Adhan?
Permission?
I'lam. Announcing. Or indicating. In Arabic, the definition of Adhan, al-i'lam bidukhul al-waqt, as-salah. Indication of the beginning of the time of the prayer. Because that's exactly what the Adhan does. You inform people that it is time for prayer. Why are you writing? You already have it from the first semester. But the problem, you write, and... This is the first hadith, narrated Anas, radiallahu anhu. When the number of Muslims increased, they discussed the question as to how to know the time for the prayer by some familiar means. Some suggested that a fire be lit, and others put forward the proposal to ring a bell. Bilal was ordered to pronounce the wording of Adhan twice and of the Iqamah once only. Now, this is the first hadith Imam Bukhari rahimahullah started with his book, the book of Adhan. And there is a gap, if you noticed, between, and others put forward the proposal to ring the bell, and the next sentence. Bilal was ordered to pronounce the wording of Adhan. It doesn't tell you what happened later, but it came in other narrations later on. So anyway, Anas radiallahu anh says, when the number of Muslims increased, they discussed the question as to how to know the time for the prayer by some familiar means. What does that tell you? Before that, how they used to pray?
By sun, they used to come at the time of the prayer.
Was there any specific call for the prayer?
No, they agreed on a course, but it never...
There is no call to prayer. But the prayer itself, was it mandatory? Yes. So the prayer came first and then came what? The call to prayer. The prayer was mandated in Mecca, but the call to prayer came in Medina. Why? How the call to prayer started? Abdullah bin Zayd radiallahu anhu. Yes, very good. So Abdullah bin Zayd radiallahu anhu, he saw the dream. Now, at the beginning, they used not to call for the prayer, but then they started calling. Why? Yes, that's what it says in the hadith. The number of Muslims increased. And that's a lesson for us. How we derive a lesson from this thing only. That the number of Muslims increased. When you have larger number, more issues will come that you need to address, that you need to deal with. One of them was the Adhan. So, now they are discussing how they can have a common thing by which they will know that it is time for prayer. Some suggested that a fire be lit. Why they suggested that?
Because it can be seen from home.
It can be seen. Now, how do we go to the prayer when we see the fire?
Yeah, it's like the Majus. It can do.
Who does that?
Majus.
The Majus, the Magi, the fire worshippers. the next proposal, and others put forward the proposal to ring the bell. Do we ring the bell now when we go to the prayer? No. Why? The Christians. Now this is important. The Prophet ﷺ wanted a unique thing for the Muslims. That's why both two things, were they approved? They were rejected. Why? Again, Islam has its unique identity. It is the perfect. We should not copy others, especially in the matters of religion. Do not. You have a unique. It was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why they ended up by the call to the prayer. And again, how it happened? Abdullah bin Zayd radiallahu anhu, he saw in his dream the call to the prayer. Abdullah bin Zayd is the companion who saw that dream. But here it says Bilal was ordered to pronounce the wording of adhan. Why Bilal was ordered to call instead of Abdullah bin Zayd? He had the nicer voice. But who saw the dream? Abdullah bin Zayd. Isn't he more worthy of calling for the prayer than Bilal?
No, everyone has a job that fits him.
So we learn from this that everyone has his own field. You cannot do everything by yourself. Nowadays, many people, they want to do everything.
I guess Dina Sahab, he was privileged and he was honored just to have the dream, and alhamdulillah, you know.
Yeah, he did not say, no, I saw the dream, so I have to stick and to. Yes. Yes. That's the sign of the great leader, that he knows who's best to do what. He distributed tasks on his companions. That's the good leader. So, Bilal was ordered to pronounce the wording of adhan twice, and of the iqamah once only. What do we learn from this? How do we call the adhan and the iqamah? Iqamah on half of the adhan. So if we call the iqamah the same like the adhan, are we following this hadith? No. It is clear. Bilal was ordered to say the wordings of the adhan twice and the iqamah once. That means when you say Allahu Akbar, you say in the iqamah what? Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. In the iqamah you say only one. And that's why the adhan, how many words of the adhan do we have? 19, according to the Shafi'i school of thought. Without the tarji', how many? 15. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. That's in the adhan. So in the iqamah it becomes Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar only. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. That's in the adhan. In the iqamah, what do we do? Once only. Now again, the majority of scholars agreed on that, except for Hanafi, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. What's his evidence? Now this we should discuss it in the fiqh, but maybe this hadith did not reach him. That's why he said both are calls. One of them is call for the prayer, the adhan, call for the time of the prayer beginning, and the second is call for the prayer itself. So they should not be different. They should be the same. Logic, that's correct. But again, you put everything aside when there is a hadith. You have the hadith, so you go with it. So these are the lessons from this hadith. And why the Imam started this chapter, the chapter of adhan, with this hadith? It tells you how the adhan started and how to call the adhan. And how to call the adhan. The second hadith. Allah's Apostle said, whoever after listening to the adhan says, Allahumma rabba hadhihi ad-da'wati at-tamma was-salati al-qa'imah ati Muhammadan al-wasilata wal-fadila wa ba'athu maqaman mahmudan alladhi wa'adtah innaka la tukhlifu al-mi'ad. Is there innaka la tukhlifu al-mi'ad here? Is there? No. Okay. Very good. You're not sleeping. Whoever after listening to the adhan says, what do you learn from this? I like this hadith. This hadith is very helpful in the matter of the adhan. What do you learn from this? Whoever listens to the adhan, after listening to the adhan says, Allahumma rabba hadhihi ad-da'wati at-tamma.
One that when the adhan is being sounded, you listen to it.
Very good. First, it indicated that you have to listen to the adhan. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever after listening, that means if the adhan is called, you do what? You listen. This is one. And then, what do you do? After the end of the adhan, you say this dua. Now, in this hadith, it doesn't mention that when you hear the mu'adhin, the one who calls, you say as he says. But it came in other narrations. So, if I asked you, what are you supposed to do when the adhan is called? Repeat after the mu'adhin. This is one. What else? How can you repeat if you don't listen? So, first, when you hear the adhan, what do? You listen. Then, you repeat. And then what? You say this dua. What is the dua? Who knows the dua? Do you all know the dua? That's the problem. You know why?
After the adhan?
Yeah. This happens every day 5 times. 5 times. I mean, if, subhanAllah, we're studying things that we may not experience in years. But this thing, we are doing it every day 5 times. Now, unfortunately, the problem here, we don't hear the adhan if we are outside the masjid. But inside the masjid, you hear it. How many times you hear the adhan? How many times in your life you hear the adhan? You need to say this dua. This is mandatory. This is homework. You have to memorize this dua. Come on in. So how many times have you heard the adhan? Yes. We'll come to it. We'll come to it. But you should not be confused. Do you know why? What's the strongest one? Do you follow what was mentioned in Al-Bukhari, or you follow what was mentioned in some other books that you don't know the authenticity of it? So why you're confused? And that's your job. We're coming to it anyway. But you need to know. I mean, I'm disappointed. At least one. No one of you knows the dua? Allahumma rabba hadhihi ad-da'wati at-tamma was-salati al-qa'imah ati Muhammadan fadila. Do we have wa-darajat rafi'ah here? Yes, online. How many do we have know it? All of them know it. Very good, mashallah. This is one time that the online students beat the on-site students. Good. Khalil, do you know this dua? Why? Okay, please. This is homework. You need to memorize this dua. Here, the dua says, Allahumma rabba hadhihi ad-da'wati at-tamma was-salati al-qa'imah آتِ محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته. That's it. That's the dua. So now again, you hear, you listen when the adhan is called. You repeat with him, as the Prophet ﷺ said in another hadith, إذا سمعتم المؤذن, once you hear the caller for the prayer, repeat after him. Say what he says. Number 3, after he finishes, what do? You say this dua. Now how many things do we have? 3. How many things left? We will see. Anyway, you said this dua. What's the reward? Now here there is the translation. Oh Allah, Lord of this perfect call. Actually, I don't like the translation, but I'll just read it. Try to do the dua always in Arabic if you can. Because again, it's losing its meanings, its value when you translate it to English. Oh Allah, Lord of this perfect call. What's this perfect call? Da'wah. Allahumma rabba hadhihi ad-da'wah. What's the perfect call? Is it the adhan only, or it is Islam, the entire religion? So, and of the regular prayer was Salat al-Qa'imah, which is going to be established. Ati Muhammadan, kindly give Muhammad the right of intercession. Kindly is not in the Arabic text, but I don't know why they put it here. Even when you say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give, are you commanding or you are doing the dua? It's still dua. So, kindly give Muhammad the right of intercession and superiority and send him وَابْعَثْهُ to the best and highest place, مَقَامًا مَحْمُودًا الَّذِي وَعَدْتَهُ, which you promised him. Anyway, this is the dua and with its translation. Once you do it, what do you say? Once you say it, what will happen? Then, that's what the Prophet ﷺ said, then intercession for me will be permitted for him on the day of resurrection. So that's what you will get. What's the reward for this dua? What's the reward for this dua? The intercession. The Prophet ﷺ will intercede for you on the day of judgment. Now comes the question that Amna asked. Is there وَالدَّرَجَةَ الْعَالِيَةَ الرَّفِيعَةَ here? I'm asking you, is there? No. So what's the ruling if you say وَالدَّرَجَةَ الْعَالِيَةَ الرَّفِيعَةَ? Hello? What's the ruling? It would what? Yes. MashaAllah, Zuhair. Right away, it's bid'ah? Yes. If you had knowledge, what do you mean if you had knowledge of it? It was added. And you still recited. Good. That's good. Okay, so we need this disclaimer. What if this addition came from another hadith? Now this hadith is clear. It's not there. Actually, it's not in the entire Sahih Bukhari. In Sunan al-Tirmidhi or in al-Bayhaqi or in another book of Sunan, there is this addition. What darajat? That's the question. Maybe it is weak. If it's weak, do you say it? No. If it's authentic, here comes the question. Now you have two narrations. One of them without it and the other one with it. Here comes the students of AREES who studied the hadith terminology in the first semester. What do we call this? What do we call this? We have a narration and we have another narration for the same thing but with something added. What do we call this? The yadat thiqa, exactly. What do we call it in English? What was its name? Additional segment. What's the ruling of the additional segment? Yes. We can accept it. So let's apply this here. Now, assuming that وَالدَّرَجَةَ الْعَلَيْةَ الرَّفِيعَةَ is authentic. Or forget about it, because I don't remember any authentic narration with this. But there came a narration in Sunan al-Bayhaqi with the end of the dua. إِنَّكَ لَا تُخْلِفُ الْمِيعَادِ. So do we say it or not? If it's authentic, we say it. We say it. That's when you try to combine all the ahadith together and reconcile. So you should not be confused. You should be clear. The strongest is in Sahih al-Bukhari. And even if you did not say it, even if you only said what is in Sahih al-Bukhari, that's enough. You took the strongest thing. But one step forward, when you look at the other ahadith and you study, this is also authentic narration. It came with additional thing. Can I add it? Yes, if it does not contradict. That's the purpose of studying. Alhamdulillah.
I had first learned all of it, but in the then I trimmed. Because I found out, okay, that's not now I got to trim again.
Okay, so is it clear now? اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آتِ محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. Now إنك لا تخلف الميعاد, is it here? No, but can you say it? It came in Sunan al-Bayhaqi. This is the question. Some people say, Allahumma rabba hadhihi ad-da'wati at-tamma was-salati al-qa'ima ati sayyidina Muhammadan. Is it Sayyidina Muhammadan or Muhammadan? Muhammadan. Isn't he Sayyidina? He is, right? Can I add it? Why? We only say what came in the hadith. Yes, the Prophet ﷺ is Sayyidina. He's our leader. But we don't say it. The same thing with the tashahhud. Many people say, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ali Sayyidina Muhammad. It was not mentioned in the adhkar of the tashahhud, so you don't say it. That's why we are studying hadith. So now, how many things do we do with the adhan? You listen, you repeat, you say the dua. There is another thing. The Prophet ﷺ said in another narration, ثُمَّ صَلُّوا عَلَيَّ. Then say the prayers on me. Send the salams and the prayers to me, to the Prophet ﷺ. And actually, like in Syria, for instance, they added this to the adhan. Now after the adhan, حي على الصلاة, حي على الفلاح, حي على الفلاح, الله أكبر, الله أكبر, لا إله إلا الله. That's the adhan, right? لا إله إلا الله, اللهم صل على محمد وعلى. If you don't know, you will think that this is what? It's one thing. It is part of the adhan. Is this permissible? Why? The Prophet ﷺ said, after the adhan, you say the salah on me. So why it's not permissible? Do they do that in Egypt? Oh, they do it?
But they didn't continue. They did the adhan, then they did the dua, and after the dua, then they did.
Oh, that's very good. But no, in Syria, it is attached directly to the adhan. So if someone, stranger, he thinks everything is one piece. Is that permissible? No? You say people in Syria doing something wrong?
Yes, they are.
Well, if it's from the adhan, then it was sufficient for the Prophet ﷺ to say, repeat after the muaddin. He doesn't have to say, ثُمَّ صَلُّوا عَلَيَّ. Then say the salah on me. Send the salams and the prayers on me. That means it is wrong. You say it, not the muaddin. So again, this is one additional thing. You say you listen, you repeat after the muaddin. You say this dua, Allahumma rabba hadhihi da'wati at-tamma, and what do you do else? You say the salah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now, you repeat the adhan, everything in the adhan. Hayya ala salah, you say hayya ala salah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So this is another thing. Except for hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah. What do you say? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Okay. Yeah. No, you don't need to. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Okay, the next hadith. I came to the Prophet ﷺ with some men from my tribe. The companion says, I came to the Prophet ﷺ with some men. And I did not mention the name of the companion on purpose. Okay? So if I came in the exam and I asked you who was this companion, do not say, oh, we did not take it. From my tribe, and stayed with him for 20 nights. He was kind and merciful to us. When he realized our longing for our families, he said to us, go back and stay with your families and teach them the religion. And offer the prayer, and one of you should pronounce the adhan for the prayer when its time is due. And the oldest one amongst you should lead the prayer. Again, this is important hadith with many rulings. What can you tell me that you learned from this hadith? There are fiqhi issues, there are issues related to the akhlaq, there are issues related to knowledge. I came to the Prophet ﷺ with some men from my tribe and stayed with him for 20 nights. Why this man went to the Prophet ﷺ for 20 nights? To learn. What do you learn from this? It's not permissible, it's recommended to learn. That's what they call الرحلة في طلب العلم. The journey for seeking knowledge. Imam Bukhari, how many countries he visited? Not for tourism, but for learning. And nowadays you have all the tools here in front of you, but we complain we don't have time. So they went to the Prophet ﷺ to learn. How much time did they stay? 20 nights. He was kind and merciful to us. That's what the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ was merciful and kind. Yes, you have to be merciful and kind to your students. Good. Go ahead. Yes, again, you learn very good that you treat your guests in a good manner. When he realized our longing for our families, again, look at the mercy of the Messenger ﷺ. That means he was aware of their situation. He didn't just teach them and they left, and he was aware of their situation. And he knew that they are longing for their families. What did he do? He said to us, go back and stay with your families. And teach them the religion. Another important lesson. You learn something, do not withhold it, do not keep it for yourself. Teach it to others. You need to teach it to others. And offer the prayer, and one of you should pronounce the adhan. For the prayer, when its time is due. And that's the important thing. When do you offer the adhan? When its time is due. Okay, here comes the question. Can you call the adhan before its time?
Yes.
He said yes.
In time of travel and qasr, like when we're praying dhuhr and then we have to pray asr, we call the adhan and then we pray. And that's what we did in Saudi.
We call the iqamah, not the adhan.
Well, I heard him saying the entire adhan.
No. Okay. Can you call the adhan before the time? Yes or no?
No.
Why?
Because it's supposed to call when the time is due.
When its time is due. Again, that's a lesson we learned, that you cannot call the adhan before its time. Why not? What's the meaning of the adhan? Exactly. What if people heard it and they prayed? Okay. Can you call the adhan after the time? Like the time of dhuhr started 5 minutes ago, and I will call the adhan 10 minutes later. Yes, you can. Now, this is not recommended, but if there was a situation, yes, you can. You still can. Even if you missed the prayer, you still can call the adhan. So how do we learn that we cannot call the adhan before its time? From this hadith. Okay, and the oldest one amongst you should lead the prayer. What does that mean? Is that the sunnah? That the oldest one leads the prayer, even if he doesn't know how to read Quran? Now we have 6 people. One of them memorized the Quran, but he is 16 years old. And one of them is old, he is 60 years old. Who should lead the prayer? According to the hadith, the oldest, the 60,
The
not
20 men, they all learn from the Prophet, so more or less they have the same amount of knowledge.
very good. That's in this hadith in particular. The Prophet ﷺ said the oldest one amongst you, because they all had the same knowledge. They came for 20 nights. The Prophet ﷺ knew that they all had the same knowledge. If not, then who should lead the prayer? The one who memorizes more. Okay. Again, what more could you tell about this hadith? What lessons could you tell?
The importance of the salah.
Importance of the salah. If it's not important, the Prophet ﷺ would not mention it specifically.
The importance of teaching.
Importance of teaching. Yes. Your families, yeah. You start with your own families. You don't go to strangers while your own family needs teaching.
You facilitate your students.
You accommodate your students. Yes.
There's a time for studying and a time to be with the family.
Very good. You balance between the time you spend for knowledge and the time with your family. Good. What else?
The
Look
leader
at-
and the teacher must be sensitive and must know his subject.
Teacher should know the condition of his students. Now, one of you should pronounce the adhan for the prayer. And the oldest lead the prayer. What do you learn from this?
But it should not be monopolized by one person.
Or is this the sunnah that the one who called the adhan, he is the one who leads the prayer? Yes or no? Why? Here, what does it say in this hadith? The same one who called the adhan, he leads the prayer? No. So the one who calls the adhan and then the one who leads the prayer. Again, everyone has his job to do. Everyone takes one part. You don't take everything. Okay, yes.
Is it possible that, I'm not sure of the Arabic terminology that's used, that says one should pronounce the adhan? Is that an order or is that a recommendation?
No, it's not an order. فَلْيُؤَذِّن. Let one call the adhan.
So this hadith is not evidence that the oldest should be the prayer.
No. But that's the sunnah again in this hadith. Okay, the next hadith. We were in the company of the Prophet ﷺ on a journey. And the mu'adhin wanted to pronounce the adhan for the dhuhr prayer. The Prophet ﷺ said to him, let it become cooler 3 times. 3 times the mu'adhin came, he wanted to call the adhan, and the Prophet ﷺ told him, let it become cooler, till the shadows of the hillocks become equal to their size. The Prophet ﷺ added, the severity of the heat is from the raging of hell. Again, very interesting hadith. You see the situation? It's very hot. The mu'adhin came, he wanted to call for the prayer, and the Prophet ﷺ told him to wait. Then he came another time, and he told him to wait until it becomes cooler. He came on the 3rd time, and then he called the adhan. What do you learn from this? You can wait. Again, you learn that Islam is a religion of mercy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want from you to punish yourself, but Allah wants your submission. Now here, in this hadith, the muadhin came to call for the prayer, to call the adhan. The Prophet ﷺ told him to wait. Why? He told him to wait because people were not there or because of the weather. It was hot. So he told him, wait until it is cooler. What do we learn also from this? Can you delay the adhan? Again, that's the evidence. Yes, you can, if there is a reason. Then he came another time. Yet the Prophet ﷺ told him what? To wait until it becomes cooler. On the 3rd time, he called the adhan. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? The severity of the heat is from the raging of hell. What do you learn from this? The heat that we have, how can you scientifically prove the connection between the heat of the weather and the severity of the weather with the heat from hellfire? Because that's what the Prophet ﷺ said. the peak of hellfire is at noon. Especially, keep in mind that noon time is different. What is noon in Saudi Arabia is not noon here in America. How do you scientifically prove that?
Scientifically prove that the peak of hellfire...
That there is a connection.
We don't know hellfire, so how we can scientifically prove it?
Now, if it is true that the heat that we get is from the sun, then the higher we go, then it should become hot. Why doesn't that?
Well, is there a connection between the sun and the heat?
Yes, it is.
There is.
Where Mecca is, because it's on the equator.
There is, right? So why not also from hellfire? Once you approve that, you accept that there is a connection between the heat of the sun and the weather that we experience, then it's very easy.
What do you mean?
What do I mean? Now, the weather generally is getting more hot or not? Why?
It was before, and that got cooler, and then now it's getting hotter.
Why? The sun itself is getting hotter, right?
The heat in the sun is increasing,
Yeah.
yes.
The heat of the sun is increasing, and isn't that affecting the earth?
Yes, it is.
It is. So the same thing. The earth is subject to be affected by other factors of heat. Like what? Like the sun. If we prove that, then it is very easy to prove that also hellfire affects the earth.
The problem comes when we can see the sun.
We cannot see hellfire. That's true. And that's why if you talk to non-disbeliever, he doesn't even believe in hellfire, or he believes in another hellfire that he will not be in. So we're talking to the Muslims that they may ask, how could this happen? It could. There's no problem with it. Now, what I want to focus on in this hadith is that the Prophet ﷺ delayed the prayer. Now, some people think that it's always you have to pray on time, regardless of the situation, regardless of the weather. Actually, one time the Prophet ﷺ, it was a very cold night. The Prophet ﷺ told Bilal, instead of saying Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala falah, he told him Ala sallu fi rihalikum. Pray in your dwellings, in your places. Sallu fi rihalikum. Nowadays, if someone did that, what will happen to him? They won't even let him complete the adhan. This is the sunnah of the Messenger ﷺ. But many people, they don't know. What? Yes.
Kind of like sometimes when the weather is really bad, they pray the two together.
Yeah.
Like I remember once when we did it, knowing really bad we were going to class, they just prayed together because they didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah, in class, they say like there are some conditions, like you have to be in a place where you pray the 5 prayers.
Specifically, this hadith states that they were on a journey, so it's allowed to delay the prayer to the time of close to us.
Yeah. But can you do that also in the city? Of course you can.
Yeah.
When the rain, in Sahih Muslim, they combine the prayers. But still, some people, they stick to what they believe and they don't. So that's the lesson, why we are studying hadith. Yes?
Can I say that in general hardship, I can delay the salah?
Of course, that's a guideline not only for the salah but for everything. Ease comes with difficulty. And that's what Allah says in the Quran. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. You are very hungry, starving to death, there is maita, you eat. You need to pray, but it's too hot or too cold. You don't even have to come to the masjid. Again, Bilal told, the Prophet ﷺ told Bilal to call, Sallu fi rihalikum. But when is that? When it is too cold. Now, if you compare what the weather there in Medina to the weather here or to a cold place, it will never be cold. But according to your situation, like if you are used to 70 degrees, once it gets 110, that's very, very hot. But alhamdulillah, nowadays we have AC, we have everything. But when it gets too cold, like 20. Here in Houston, that's too cold. In some places in the north, east coast, it's normal. Okay, so this is the sunnah of the Messenger ﷺ. Again, in this hadith, there is a great lesson that Islam is the religion of ease, not difficulty. Now, these are the ahadith that we will discuss in the book of Adhan. And there are many ahadith. Your job is to continue. The next chapter, we're moving to the book of witr prayer. Witr prayer. Do you pray witr? Do you pray witr? 1 rak'ah. That's good.
If there's a easy way of doing something, you choose the easy way.
Once a person asked Allah's apostle about the night prayer. Allah's apostle replied, the night prayer is offered as 2 rak'ah, followed by 2 rak'ah, and so on. And if anyone is afraid of the approaching dawn, he should pray 1 rak'ah, and this will be a witr for all the rak'ah which he has prayed before. This is very important hadith. How do you pray the night prayer? 2, and then 2, and then 2. And that's it, you stop? When do you pray the night prayer? When is the recommended time? The last third. How can you prove this from this hadith? Exactly. Approaching dawn. If you fear the approaching dawn, that means when you are praying, very close to the subh prayer. Yes. You pray 2 rak'ah and then 2 rak'ah, but if you fear that the dawn is approaching, what do? You pray 1 rak'ah. What do we learn also from this hadith? Do you pray more than 1 rak'ah as witr in one night? No. The witr is only 1 rak'ah. And in other narrations it came clear. La witran fi layla. There are no 2 witrs in one night. You pray 1 witr. What do we learn also from this hadith?
There's no limit to the night.
Very good. There is no limit to the night prayer. Salatul layli mathna mathna. You pray 2, 2. If there is a limit, the Prophet ﷺ would say, do not increase over so and so. So you can pray as much as you want. No, isn't there a hadith specifying the amount? There is a hadith, Aisha radhiyallahu anha, saying what the Prophet ﷺ used to pray. And what the Prophet ﷺ used to pray does not mean that you cannot add or pray more. Especially that the Prophet ﷺ, his prayer was long. فَلَا تَسَلَ مِنْ حُسْنِهِنَّ وَطُولِهِنَّ. And that's why many scholars, they used to pray more than 11. What else? How you pray the witr? You pray 3 rak'ah combined, or you pray 1 rak'ah only? From this hadith. 1. But it came also, even in Sahih Bukhari, it came that the Prophet ﷺ used to pray many rak'at together as witr. Sometimes 3, sometimes 5. But if he prayed together, what does he do? Does he sit after each 2 rak'ah? No. When does he sit? Only at the last one. So if you pray 3 rak'ah as witr, you don't sit after the 2 rak'ah. What if someone did? Still, it is permissible, but it's not the sunnah. It's not the sunnah. In the witr, you don't pray the witr like Maghrib prayer. You sit only at the end. This is a narration from Nafi'. Who's Nafi'? The freed slave of Ibn Umar. Nafi' told that Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhuma used to say taslim between the first 2 rak'ah and the third odd one in the witr prayer when he wanted to attend to a certain matter.
That's the same hadith?
during that interval between the rak'ah. No, that's different. This is different narration.
But different narration of the same hadith?
No, different hadith. Ibn Umar used to say taslim between the first 2 rak'ah and the third one in the witr prayer when he wanted to attend to a certain matter. What's the advantage of mentioning this hadith? What do you learn from it?
That you are allowed to close it after the 2 rak'ah if there's some matter that came up and you have to attend to it, and then you come back and pray. So what?
You are allowed, if you remembered something, to say the salam. This is one thing. You are allowed to pray 3 rak'ah together. If you're not allowed, Nafi' would not say that. Because if nothing happened to Ibn Umar, he would have continued how many rak'ah? 3. What do you learn also? It is better to pray 2 rak'ah, 2 rak'ah. As the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the previous hadith. Because maybe this will happen to you. So, pray 2 rak'ah. That's very good also. Look what Nafi' observed. Now Nafi' was the freed slave of Ibn Umar. But he noticed that this is what Ibn Umar did. How can you notice something happening in the middle of the night? That tells you that Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhuma, he used to pray a lot. In order for you to observe, he used to pray a lot. And not only that, but Nafi' also, he was righteous because he was awake. So you have your followers, you have your people, you encourage them, you wake them up, you tell them to pray. All these are lessons you could learn from this hadith.
We are freed men compared to those who were
Yeah. Okay, this is the last hadith for today, inshallah. Again, the hadith are a lot, but this is also an interesting one. I was going to Mecca in the company of Abdullah bin Umar, radiallahu anhuma. And when I apprehended the approaching dawn, I dismounted and offered the witr prayer and then joined him. So this man, this successor was with Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhuma. They were traveling. When the dawn approached, he felt that he needed to pray witr. It's time. So he dismounted and he prayed on the ground. He prayed the witr. And then joined him. Then he came back to Abdullah bin Umar. Abdullah bin Umar said, "Where have you been?" I replied, "I apprehended the approaching dawn, so I dismounted and prayed the witr prayer." That's what he did. Abdullah said, "Isn't it sufficient for you to follow the good example of Allah's apostle?" I replied, "Yes, by Allah." He said, "Allah's apostle used to pray witr on the back of the camel." What do you learn from this hadith? You are allowed to pray on the back of the camel. You are allowed to pray on plane.
In the car.
In the car. Can you pray in the car? Yes. But if you made an accident, I'm not responsible.
No, why? You need to stop if you're not driving.
Well, if you are on a camel, isn't the camel walking?
Yeah, but the camel knows the road, but the car doesn't.
The camel knows the road and the car does not?
Exactly.
Okay, now here's the point. Can you pray sitting while you are able to stand?
Yes, you can.
What do you learn from this hadith, if no?
Yes.
But this is a difference of like, if you're traveling and you can't stand, then yes. But if you're like physically, like if I'm like right now, oh, I don't want to get out and move, so I'm just sit here and pray.
Okay, here in this hadith. Now, the man was able to go down or not? Was, because that's what he did. But what did Abdullah bin Umar tell him? What was the sunnah of the Messenger ﷺ? To stay. So can you pray sitting while you are standing?
While you can stand.
Yes. She said no. Both of you are wrong. If you say yes, that's wrong. If you say no, that's wrong. You have to be specific. Yes.
We have a small problem here,
You have a problem.
because this is Sunnah Salah.
Exactly. Here is the thing. Only in the Sunnah Salah. In the Fard, can you pray sitting while you are able to stand? We mentioned this, the first pillar of the prayer. You have to stand up. You have to stand up. صَلِّ قَائِمًا. Pray standing. فَإِن لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ, if you can. So how can we reconcile between صَلِّ قَائِمًا and this hadith? This hadith pertains to what? Sunnah prayer. And that hadith was fard. So in the sunnah prayer, can you pray sitting? Yes. Especially here in this hadith, was it when you are residing or in traveling? When you are traveling. So actually, you have to enjoy it, especially if you're traveling. Pray the sunnah, the witr, when you are sitting. You are applying the sunnah. Now, can you pray the fard when you are sitting in the plane? If you cannot stand, yes. Now, that's not the issue. The issue is when you are able to stand. Look what Ibn Umar said. Ibn Umar, did he tell him, oh, you did good thing, you dismounted and you prayed? Or he told him, why didn't you apply the sunnah? He told him the sunnah of the Messenger ﷺ, when you are traveling, you pray the witr sitting. Okay, that's the main thing in the hadith. Of course, there are many lessons. Teaching. If you saw something you feel it is wrong, you teach the person who did it. Abdullah ibn Umar did not tell him, okay, that's fine, or go ahead. What the man did was permissible. It was permissible.
And he went direct. Went direct.
Yeah.
Not this and that. Direct.
The Prophet says. Okay. Is there any questions?